So music is just part of.
It's just part, yeah, but it's a good part.
What's your last name? What is your last name?
Oh, Spusta. Spusta. And first name is spelled Leigh.
So it's Irish.
Yes.
English?
Yeah, Great Britain in general. I guess they like to spell it over there that way. Which I prefer. Yeah, Leigh is so boring.
Leigh Spusta.
Yeah, that's Czech. The last name's Czech.
That's interesting. Lots of Czechoslovak. I mean, a number of people have that background today that I've interviewed. Interesting.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You ready to go?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Hello, welcome to the Dr. Carol Francis Show. You are here with musician and hypnotherapist Leigh Spusta. Am I saying that correctly?
You are saying it correctly. Spusta. Like I'm supposed to be doing something.
And you are in fact doing a lot. You're teaching people about music. I heard it. You present something just moments ago that was just outstanding.
Thank you.
And can you give us an introduction to that so we can leap into things such as vibrational medicine or the understanding of vibration within the universe and how we can access it?
Yeah, indeed. Everything is vibration, down to the smallest items that scientists can measure up to the largest things that we can conceive of, such as galaxies.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and microcosm and macrocosm, they mirror, reflect in the same rules of what we might call entrainment, or Pythagoras. You have the music of the spheres. There are these ideas that vibrations move into synchrony and harmony, in an ideal state anyway. And in life, sometimes we get kind of thrown a rough hand or whatever, and we kind of get, tense, and we have trauma, we have issues that we have to work through it. Sometimes we're in a disharmonious place, and that's where I think music like this that we're talking about can really help people to move back into that resonance with harmony. And it's something that people can experience right away, and then there are longer term benefits when they start really working with it. It certainly has a place in life, and we're humans, and we automatically are attracted to sound and music. It's innate, we can't help it. And as we've gone along, we've gotten much, much more creative and artistic about it. But it's always been there in the background as a therapeutic tool. Even popular music, someone wants to change their mood, they put on the radio, or their favorite album. So it's always there.
So you had mentioned in your presentation that it is always there. This is a theme for you.
Yes.
Music's always there, not to make, although we make music, not to create. We're always creating and writing music, even our little lyrical hums to ourselves. But actually to discover that it's been there in states of harmony. You were driving that point home so strong. Music has always been there. Harmonics has always been there. We're just discovering it,
right,
repeating it.
It's the very fabric of the universe, that the way vibration has been set up, that harmony, people can automatically tell when something is not in harmony. When something sounds off, it's visceral. We notice that, and it doesn't feel right, and we can't wait till the music, or whatever it is we're listening to, comes back into resonance or harmony. And the thing about the harmony is that's where in the presentation I talked about with the laws of entrainment. It's part of the laws of physics that oscillating systems, when there are several different things, let's say they're molecules, or they could be life forms, or in his case pendulum clocks I was talking about, Christian Huygens, the man that discovered entrainment. It takes little to no energy to maintain a system where everything is moving in synchrony or in harmony. Whereas if something is tension in it, it's taking away energy. It has to fight to keep that rhythm because the other one is doing this other rhythm.
mentioned that the sound is a cylinder. It's a
spheres.
Spheres.
Yeah,
Wow.
bubbles of sound. Absolutely.
That starts at a point and then resonates in 360, or
Yeah.
way beyond 360, because you're talking about a
Sure.
sphere. You're talking about
It's moving outward in every direction all at once. And so if we were to visualize, let's say, the surface of a pond, and we throw that pebble in there, and we see how it creates those ripples moving outwards in a circle, getting wider and wider. Now, see the same thing, but make it an entire sphere, a bubble. That's what sound is really, if we could see it, that's what it looks like.
So what I was wondering when I was listening to this was, we're living in a universe of magnetics, energy, through electronics, polarization, and magnetic electronics, and then we live in it, and I could go on and on. All these little different aspects that govern gravity. I was listening to what you were saying as sound being so fundamental to the existence, and now with quantum physics being so predominant in our everyday thinking. To what degree is this spherical movement of sound impactful on all of these laws of physics? And what do we study? What do we know about this?
Well, Stuart Reed, with his simoscope, has been able to notice the different frequencies and pitches have their own geometrical pattern or design to them, or harmonic imaging. And he calls them simoglyphs. And so he's taken that discovery, which has been going on for quite a while, but he's kind of the latest movement of it. And he's applied it to dolphins. So when dolphins are using their sonar,
yes,
he's seeing the same thing, that it's this image, this vibrational form and the point with this is that it's stepping into a totally different domain, where by being able to see the form of sound, they're starting to uncover the dolphin's language in a way they weren't able to do it before, because now they can map it out in a visual glyph, a picture. So it's very interesting, and it's kind of an aside.
Not really, because it sounds like a universal language.
Yeah.
I mean, among all species, like you mentioned, ETs included.
Exactly.
Is it a universal
They're going to know the
language?
same thing, that physics aren't going to change on another planet. It's the way the universe works. And so when they plug a string, or the equivalent on their planet, let's just say, they're going to notice the same harmonics. They're going to notice the same relationship of one tone to another. It's either perfectly in harmony, or it's not, or it's levels in between where it sounds good or it doesn't. And they're going to play with that, because why wouldn't they? So that's why I say it's innate. It's in our DNA to understand this, and so for us to be moved by it also, and for us to respond to it, not just as an artistic appreciation, but on a cellular level, it vibrates in our bodies and something happens. And we don't even need to engage the conscious mind for that to happen.
Can you illustrate with this beautiful sitar?
Let me make sure it's in tune.
Okay, so while you're playing around with that, please tune and vibrate the room, the already echoing room.
Yes, it is.
It's a very resonant room.
Let's see where we're at here.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. Nice. Survived our cold walk up here.
Yeah, it usually goes out pretty quick. It's close enough to do what we need
I
to
think.
do. What's interesting about the sitar is it has all these sympathetic strings.
I see it. I've never looked at one up close.
Yeah. So when I play a note, that happens to be the same note of one of those, it will automatically vibrate through sympathetic resonance,
Right.
which Christian Huygens discovered back in the late 1600s as part of how entrainment works. And you also hear how those notes sound at rest together. They could go on during harmony, they make us feel relaxed enough. The moment I go someplace a little out of harmony, there's a desire there's a tension there and a desire for it to go back into resonance. And when we play something and we get to the level where all the little notes and everything are happening, all those things are still taking place, where we're, even on an unconscious level, we're perceiving the sound in a way that it's resonating with us either harmonically or in a disharmonic way. And that's kind of what music is. It plays with the tension and what they call resolution in sound, but with always a prominent focus on the harmony.
Interesting.
Yeah, they use the disharmony just to add that little bit of flavor, really.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go from here to
it's like I'm almost ready when you're in that tension moment. I'm ready for it to, like I'm in anticipation of the next.
That's
As
right.
opposed to when you're settling, I'm kind of in a resting spot.
And, Bach and the musical masters.
Yeah, and we have an insistent person here that wants to. Hello.
Excuse me. I was walking up the pool gates and I just wondered about how long you would be in this room.
15?
Oh, sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Go on back.
Thanks a lot.
Was saying that Bach, and then later, the other masters, but especially Bach, he really had been run with for a lot of musical theory and Western music. He became really proficient at knowing when to use certain scale modes or when to put emphasis on a given note to really create that anticipation, to drive the music up and up. Oh, I know something needs to happen, something's got to happen, and then finally, resolve it. But it's all that same stuff. It's either being in harmony or not in harmony. Again, if we didn't resonate naturally towards harmony, it wouldn't make any difference. Developing music would make any sense to us.
So two things come to mind. As a psychologist, I think this is a beautiful metaphor. There's some people who seem to live their life in a constant state of disharmony and actually almost prefer that strain of energy because they keep recreating it. I don't know if it creates energy. I mean, we could go on and on about the metaphor, but I do ponder the idea that that dissonance that you're creating so beautifully with this actually has great appeal. It's appealing.
When it's used the right way.
Yeah, and then when it moves to resolution, there's like there's also, it's like there's a relief, but there's also I want, it's kind of boring.
Too much of it, after a while. You don't want to hear that staying there too long. Let's do something that's going to, be interesting. And that's when I think it's life, right? When things get too dull, we kind of stir it up, even if it's in an unconscious way. But, of course, there's a lot going on with that. What's known to us, we tend to repeat because it's familiar, even if it's not necessarily the healthiest. But when it comes down to vibration and the mass of the universe, aside from easy, our popular music listening, to where we listen to it on a very surface level, ship or moon, we're just kind of entertaining ourselves until we get to the next thing we're doing. But when we're talking about music that I'm going to do some deep meditation right now, or I want to experience a past life, or I need to do some healing. That's when it really comes down to the harmony out, the resonance brings out, because it allows the energy to flow. It's almost like we hit the reset button. All the cells in our body resonate with that harmony, and in some way it reminds us that that's normal, that's natural, and the energy begins to flow because the tension can loosen up and let go, and we can move out of our moorings and onto, shifting and changing in whatever way it's going to happen.
So it makes me ponder, and I'm going to ask you the question, how you use music to help heal. So I know you're involved with brain training and things of that sort. I recently interviewed Donald Saunders, who's the author of The Knowledge, and he says that if we think of our surroundings as we are constantly bombarded by neutrinos or things that are like thought particles, and that we can create movement in the thought particles that create the manifestations. I can't help but think that you're onto something with everything you mentioned about the music and sound and the spherical aspects of the moving out. If people don't use their voice, their arms, their resonance of their being, the vibration, which we have a frequency for our body, the earth has its own megahertz as well. So how do we actually convert the scientific knowledge that we are creating frequency that creates this geometric shift or design to actually affect our brain, the way our brain functions? And I know that through brain entrainment, there's a lot of research on this currently.
There is. I'd say, that's part of it, the brainwave entrainment, because, once people have the ability to record brainwaves with the EEG, then they started to map the brain and realized that when we're in a busy thinking mind, we're in the beta, and then we get a little slower, we're into more of a calm focus or a meditative state even, and then deeper states are more creative states, and also sleep. Theta is like a dreaming state. And then delta is dreamless sleep, where the body is restoring itself. But we can create music that has rhythms and beats in it that match those brainwave cycles, and our brain will do what's called a frequency following response automatically. It's pretty much the same thing as entrainment. It's just they've called it something different because they're looking at it from some other angle. And we can use it to coax the brainwaves into that rhythm, and then with the right intention as well, the resultant state that we want to experience unfolds. So it promotes it. It won't force it. It's not like you take a hallucinogenic drug and you cannot help but have certain shifts take place. You can't intend your way out of that one too easy. But still, when you entrain the brain and you have the right intention, you're going to get into the state that you want to get into. But that's really just kind of part of it, because as you were saying about, we're surrounded by energy and frequency and vibration all the time. So even right now, the spheres of energy that are moving away from my mouth as I'm speaking, interacting with it while I'm bouncing around, it's like, and then they mix with the vibrations of your voice and whatnot. Just magnify that out a level, like in downtown and the traffic and everything else. There's all these vibrations going on, and our innate unconscious drive is to match and find resonance and find homeostasis where we can. Even if that's matching with an environment that isn't necessarily the healthiest, we're still going to try innately to find our place in there that fits and feels calm, or it feels like we're resonating and belonging there. And so knowing that, given what the issue might be, it's not just brainwave rhythms. You can use the didgeridoo. I was playing that earlier. Actually, the plastic
tube. I've tried that. It doesn't sound the same when I do it.
Well, it does take a little practice, but nonetheless, the constancy, there's no beat rhythm in that's brainwave oriented, but nonetheless, there are oscillations and vibrations and cycles within that sound itself that nonetheless still work on on the same and similar principle of the brainwave entrainment, but it's the cells of the body. You know, it's kind of an interesting thing that when you look at a lot of the products out there, they're highlighting this binaural beat, brainwave entrainment stuff so much. I feel, I'll be honest, I don't even put binaural beats in my music because I don't think it's necessary. I don't think that's the special magic that, you know, music means, or that's not what it is. That's not the secret. The secret is the vibration itself. It's these elongated tones like the om or the didgeridoo, and as they get expressed over longer stretches of time, we entrain to them. Now those tones have the natural harmonics within them. So the harmony of the universe is already expressed within that tone. And we're surrounded by it because it's a bubble of energy that's engulfing us. And we match it, and our energy starts flowing in more harmonious ways, and we start to shift and expand our mind, we relax, and if we're having an issue, it has a way of bubbling up to the surface, and we see it in a different way. We have a different type of insight. There's an intelligence that the sound energy has in and of itself to steer us in the right direction. And that's all without brainwave entrainment. Because that's just one technique out of several things. So I think the real core key is what they had discovered at the beginning of written history or before, which is chanting om, or that didgeridoo sound. It's all the same thing, that sound of the universe, the expression of the harmony of the universe. Surround yourself with it long enough, you're going to match it well enough to have an experience that's beneficial. I think it really boils down to that. Everything else is fluff.
What do you think that this has a lot to do with physical healing? Because vibrational medicine is, but vibrational, obviously ultrasounds are all about the vibrations. They're translated into digital or visual. Well, in cancer, cardiovascular system, the whole cardiovascular system is a rhythm that the whole body responds to on a regular basis. And we know that from infants now, they're so tuned into which woman is the mother's heartbeat.
That's right.
So, talk about that.
Well, I think it comes back to looking at dis-ease as disharmony, and whatever the source of that is, you know, you may or may not discover that some incident in early childhood might be the nugget that kind of stayed with that person and manifested later in life as some sort of a tumor or something unfortunate. Or it could be an emotion, which isn't contrary to what I was talking about. Let's say it's anger about something, you know, and it just stays because they're not expressing it and going through the process to conclude with the forgiveness and letting go. So it's staying, and the mind doesn't know what to do with it because it's suppressed if it's not letting it go and processing it, so it's just sitting there. And so if it can deal with it, it gets pushed into the body. And now it's sitting in the body. Now what we may be able to do, I don't think the sound by itself is going to be the ultimate answer with that, but it's certainly a part of the healing process by bringing not only awareness of somebody being in their body, because let's say you're, I'll mention that I have something that I built. I'm not an inventor of it, but I built it.
And you are an inventor, but go ahead.
But a sound tape.
Okay.
You know, it's just a bed that you lay on, and it has these subwoofers mounted on it.
Nice.
Under it, right? And it's soft, but those low vibrational or vibroacoustic frequencies are massaging the body, and so you really get pulled into this from head to toe. You're just in it, and it feels like you're suspended on a bed of string